Hello, 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 everybody. It's your girl, Ashley, the amateur expert, coming to you live today for this episode of Talk Tuesday. I keep saying that and I keep telling myself that we potentially need to rebrand, and I think that we will soon. But if this is your first time joining us, so welcome. We are going to have a conversation today with our guest, and she's going to tell us about her career path, her ideas of success, and the tips and motivators that she used along the way. I am a firm believer that when you share your story, you inspire others. And Pietrina, who is our guest today, has an amazing story, and I'm certain that you will be inspired by her. So I want to say thank you for joining. And Pietrina is in, so we are going to invite her. Hello, everyone who is joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think we're going to invite Pietrina in. Did I do it? I did. Hello, Pietrina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. Thank you. Happy Talk Tuesday.
Happy Talk Tuesday. What does little circle face mean? That's a filter. I might need
Yes.
her. Give me some glam. No.
You do not need it. You are good. But if you choose to indulge, please, I'm here for it. But
No.
like, ooh, okay,
I
girl.
actually hate her. How do I get out of this?
Actually, I don't know. I don't know.
I figured.
Um, awesome. Okay, so I want to say thank you for joining us today, and I think that we should just jump right in. So, if you can, please tell us who you are and what you are doing currently for work.
So my name is Pusha P, aka Pietrina Love. Nah. Right now I am an experiential and marketing consultant for a couple of different brands, but namely BETPlus, and I do a lot of work for Essence.
I love that. Okay, so when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up, and what was like the motivating factor behind that?
When I was a little girl, I wanted to be rich, right? That
Period.
was that was like lifestyle of the rich and famous was on. I was like, like staring. But outside of that, I always wanted to be in the fashion industry. I loved clothes. I used to tear up like the Spiegel catalogs and like tape them to my
Mm.
wall and put outfits together. And I used to have those old school like croquis that you would cut out and switch the
Hmm.
outfits up and the little paper dowels and all of that. I always was like an innate fashion girl. It was just natural to me. Like first grade, rain boots, Easter dresses,
It
stacked
was your thing.
stacked candy necklaces. Like that was the vibe. That was the
I love it. I love
vibe.
that. Okay. So, what did you think success was, or how would you have defined success when you were younger? I know you said rich, so
Yeah,
can
it
you
was always
expand
about the
upon that?
coin. Like I feel like I'm innately happy, so it wasn't like I had a target to be happy. It
Hmm.
was the target was to get money. Like
Yep.
that's where I was at with it. I had a good family. I had a good childhood. I had a lot of friends. So to me, I was already from that lens. I was already successful. So
Hmm.
that was the only difference to me then.
Yeah. Okay, so can you tell us the journey that has taken you from, oh, not those eyes. So you said fashion was your thing, and that's what you sort of wanted to do and be. And so now that you are working in as a consultant in experiential events and marketing and things of that nature, can you just sort of tell us like your journey? How did you get there?
So initially, I went straight out of college. I went to fashion school. I mean, straight out of high school, I went to fashion school. And there, I got a job pretty quickly. I was in the industry while I was still in college, and I did my thing and climbed the little ladder. And then eventually I felt like I got to a place where it felt like, well, what do I do next? Like,
Mm,
are they even going to let a brown girl be like a partner or anything like that? I don't think so. And
mhm,
because I was so young, a lot of times I felt people wouldn't necessarily take me serious. because they would be like, oh, you're so young. But my work kind of spoke for itself. And I had a lot of successes. Like, you know, that side of my career was pretty good. And it got me to California. However, the industry started to change and I started to get laid off like back to back to back. Like a lot of the companies were closing. A lot of the stores were closing and it was just extremely challenging at one point. And I started to feel a little bit burnt out, like creatively and just exhausted. I felt like the tug of war that I was going through with being a brown girl in that space just started to just wipe me out and it just wasn't as fun anymore. I remember I went to like Europe and I came back and the cleaning lady in my office was like, I thought you got fired. And I was like, well, why would you say that?
Oh, no.
I was like, who told you that? You know? And she was like, oh, because you wasn't here for a long time. And usually if people are not here for a long time, that's the case. And I'm like, oh, no, I was on vacation. But she was right, you know? I ended up getting laid off from that last job. And I just told God, like, I'm taking a break. I mean, and just see what happens. And several of my peers had all decided to like break out and start their own agencies, their own like experiential agencies. And so they would reach out to me like, are you available? Do you mind helping me? Like, you know, and then one thing kind of led to another, and word of mouth and network has always been like my saving grace. Black women have always advocated for me. They've always been my cheerleaders. They've always given me opportunities. And then one thing began another thing. And then it was COVID. It was up and then it was COVID and it was stuck.
Down,
and I was like,
baby.
okay, girl, what is it going to give? Like, what we doing? You know? And in that process, it just was a while where everything was just very still and very quiet. And it gave me the opportunity to really like align myself with God and just really figure out like, what am I supposed to be doing? And it felt like I was really trying to force myself to get back in the industry because I had all those, like, it's like 15 years of experience. And I'm just like, I can't let it go to waste. I kept thinking like I was wasting all of that time that I had invested. Like, I was getting interviews left and right. I was going through like 5 rounds. I would get to the last round and they'd be like, we're going with another candidate. Like, you know, and it was happening back to back. And I was just like, I don't think I'm supposed to do this anymore. And then all of the experiential stuff was just coming naturally. It would literally be, my phone would ring and I'd be like, okay, I'm available. Okay, I'm available, you know, on a freelance tip until things got a little bit more permanent. So that was pretty much how it went down.
Okay, so tell me this. How would you define success today?
Success today, coins. No, I'm just playing.
Nothing has changed, actually.
Always about the coins. I think that success today is you being in alignment with what God has for you. I feel like each person may have a different thing. I know how everyone says every person has their own like innate ability and things that they're like naturally good at. I feel like if you have alignment with that and you can make money off of it, cool. If you're happy in that space, if you're not like sacrificing your integrity and your morals, you know, I feel like that's equivalent to success. You know, my own personal success is me being able to amplify my culture, my people, put my people on, give them opportunities, make us be visible in this world in a way that we're all, you know, proud of. My dream is always to amplify Black people the way that they're supposed to be seen. I believe in our duality. So yes, we can be a little bit ratchet. Yes, we could be a little bit loud, but we're also very innovative and we're very creative and we're smart, and Black men are brilliant and everybody doesn't hate each other. Like, that male versus female fight is not always the case. And I just really am enjoying it, like in one small way that I can kind of make those stories come to life. So that's success to me at this point.
That's beautiful. Okay, so tell me along your journey, what are some of the tips or motivators that you've used to like sort of like keep you going?
So, one thing that I always say, it's very simple. Well, one thing my mother will always say is like, watch how you walk, talk, and carry yourself.
Mm,
Um, I use that a lot in a lot of different spaces because you never know who's connected to who.
mm-hmm.
Behind closed doors, all kind of things could be said, but like in public spaces and around other people, you want to be very like minced and almost not necessarily like fake or fraud, but like just understanding your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another thing that I kind of live by, like, ooh, the people want me to work. One another another thing that I live by is like, if it ain't this, it ain't that. Meaning like just look at things at face value. A lot of times in any relationship, they will tell you what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily talking about romantic relationships, at work too. Like if you are interviewing and they're telling you like, oh, we're like a family here. It's like, girl, I got a mama and a brother. I'm good. I don't need family at work. I want to know that you guys have the infrastructure to support the position that I'm interviewing for. I
Mm-hmm.
want to know that I'm not getting undercut and underbidding myself out of situations. Like,
Yeah,
that's really what it is. So if it ain't this, it ain't it.
it ain't it. That's good. Um, I'm stuck. Okay, so what's something that you know now that you wish that you would have learned sooner, or like, are you still learning?
One of the things that I wish that I knew when I was younger is that if it doesn't fit, you can leave. I
Mm,
think I had kind of like this loyalty and like this, oh, I'm just so happy to be here type of thing
yeah.
with myself professionally. And I always thought that it couldn't get any better than this, right? Because I was in a good situation. Like I had a lot of access, but like numbers on the paper, like that you go to file your taxes, the coins wasn't reflecting how much fun and
Hmm.
access I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in one of my first jobs, I was there for 7 years. So, although I had all this access, I just was like, one day I was interviewing somebody that was going to work under me and it was getting paid more than me. And I was like, something in
Mm-mm.
the milk ain't clean.
I
like,
don't
like
like that.
I don't like that. This not adding up. So I was like, the next couple of steps that I took after that, the next jobs I took after that were drastically incremental increases.
Mhm.
And, it may come from the familiarity that people have when you work in a space for a long time. And it's like, yeah, you can move up in the ranks and you get more and more responsibility, but the coins don't necessarily reflect that until you get bouted and leave. You
Mhm.
put in those notices and then they'll try to come back to the table. They may try to counter offer,
Yeah,
or they may just be like, bye.
bye.
And then you already, you cut your losses. Like, girl, you ain't one of their cousins. They don't care. They
That
do not
family they were
care.
talking about ain't
Mm-mm.
that close, right?
And one of my mentors said to me, she was like, um, if you work for me, I wouldn't pay you more either. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
That's interesting.
She was just like, if you're going to do the work for me as a business owner
Mm,
at a lesser pay grade, then I can give you a bonus and you'll be fine, but I don't necessarily have to pay you more to make you stay.
wow.
You're already in the matrix, like you're already here.
Sheesh.
And that shook the table for me. And I was like, okay, I'm out. That's like all I needed to hear, you know?
That's so real.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question that wasn't a question that I had given you before we got on. But
Okay.
I think mentorship in this industry, in all industries, but especially in entertainment space, and probably fashion as well, is so important. But I also feel like it's not always something that's easy to obtain. a mentor. And so I wonder if you can share with us your thoughts on mentorship, one, and two, maybe like the proper route or ways to obtain one, in your opinion.
I feel like I get this question a lot. I think that if you put yourself, you know how you hear those like sayings like, put yourself in the spaces where you want to be, or surround yourself with the people and become the woman that you want to be, and like, that kind of thing. And I think it is real, right? I think that people who are in certain positions, they wake up really early, and a lot of them work out very early. So like if you're in the gym and, a lot of people around you are typically, you know, executives early in the morning because they got stuff to do. I say all that to say that I think when you have a target of who you want your mentor to be, like say it's like a person that you don't know from anywhere and you don't have any kind of connection to, it's like you might want to low-key cyber stalk a little bit. You know what I mean? You can kind of, some people's digital footprint really tells a lot about them, like where they like to go, where they like to eat, if they're going to be speaking at a certain like conference, or if they're going to be appearing anywhere where you can kind of have that face-to-face moment where you can actually like introduce yourself and not necessarily be like, hey, I'm looking for a mentor, because people get a little bit freaked out about that. But
Yeah,
like,
don't be weird.
yeah, it's like, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking to do. Do you have any advice, or, perhaps there's any programs you can recommend? And the old school sales way also is like cold calls and cold emails. Like back in the day, we couldn't like click the thing and just see what everybody did. I got my first jobs in the back of WWD, and they are like classified ads. I used to look at the masthead of magazines and look for the person, and then I would send them like a colorful a colorful envelope with like a handwritten note in it, because I knew when the mail comes through, they probably get all this mail, but the colorful envelope will be the one that they would stick out with. And that's how I would get a lot of my sales leads too. And I would just keep the same color and keep sending it. Like eventually, some people never ever responded, but then some people, eventually was like, oh, you're the girl that keeps sending me like the turquoise, and turquoise is one of mine. You're the turquoise envelopes, and that kind of like it sounds like a prehistoric method, but I think your authenticity and like your story and how you present yourself, a lot of times people in those kind of like mentorship positions have like the clairvoyance to see through a bunch of BS. So you don't really got to come through with like some weirdo, storyline like most people think you do. I think like, if you're like persistent and you continue to reach out, it can be annoying. Like one of the girls that became like my mentee, she was texting me up a storm, and half the time I wouldn't even respond. I was like, bruh. Until one day I was like, yo, she's so consistent. Like every single week she would check in like, hi, I'm just checking to see how you doing, that kind of thing. And then we went to lunch and it was like over. So I don't know. Be persistent, be a little bit of a stalker without being a creep. Pull up where you think the people who are doing the things that you want to do are socially, and just, network.
That's dope. Thank you for sharing that, because I do think it's important. And I also have like just mental mentors. And so the people who I just sort of like, to your point, watch the digital footprint. I see sort of, okay, these are the things that they're attending. Maybe I should attend these things, and not even to even ever speak to them, just so that I can be, so I can gain sort of the same wisdom that they're gaining. So thank you for sharing that.
And not only that, like, I think you do a pretty good job at this, and you and your crew, like, you all are in like this kind of like entering junior space, right? And you all click up together. So I think like a lot of times people think that they got to get to like this person versus the person that is like their lateral equal. Like when I was an EA way back when, when I was an EA, like the other EAs, when you would call like people's secretaries and stuff, all of us was cool. Like, and they were the real gatekeepers. Like the people who really support the people are the real gatekeepers. Those are the people that you really want to get to know. Those are the people that are going to tell you when is a good time to reach out, when to call, if the person is available. If they don't like that, like, don't come over here. They don't like that. You know, it's those people that kind of are the shapers and the support system around those people can be the people too that'll help catapult you. So I think you do a really good job of that, Ash.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so thank you for answering that question. That wasn't a real question that I'd given you before, but
anything is a real question, and I'm good.
Answer.
So we can freestyle. You don't even need those. You don't need those questions.
Okay,
we out here.
So in that same vein, you said that a lot of the jobs that you have received or your connections have come from your network, or just Black women supporting Black women and getting those calls. What have you done to maybe make yourself stick out so that you do get those calls, or so that people are continuing to say your name in those rooms?
So a lot of times when you're like on sets or I'm working on a project, I make it my personal business to have a personal relationship with the people around me, right? So I try to remember your name. I may not remember your name, but I can remember everything about a conversation that we had with each other that's personable, because I take things that people say and I attach myself and the things that connect me to them, to whatever it is with them, right? So it's like, if you like salt and vinegar potato chips, I like them too. I would be like, what's your favorite flavor? And then we're going to go off into a whole, thing. And then it can be something, I'm using that as an example because it can be something as minuscule as that will allow you to connect to the humanistic intrinsic value of a person versus like, I'm trying to network to get a job. Like, people genuinely work with who they like. And if they like you, a lot of times they will train you. Like, they will help you learn the methodology, because a lot of this stuff is just like project management, right? It's project management, being a quick thinker, being a fast responder, and being able to be resourceful. Those are the main things. We're not doctors. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's stuff that you need like a technical skill behind. Like, yeah, you may know the proper jargon, but in every industry, whether you're in like, you go from like digital media to like print media, it's similar. It's a similar vocabulary, but the things are different. You'll just learn on it on the go. But if people really like you, they'll be like, come over here. You know how to make something work. We'll figure the rest out, that kind of thing.
No, it's so important. Thank you for sharing that. Raj said, throwing curveball questions. We're trying to mix it up a little bit.
But the girl is a professional. So what you got?
You're hitting them out the park, so we appreciate you for that. So I started a clothing brand in October of 2020, and it's called Affirmed Armor, and I definitely need to connect with you to see how we can elevate it. But it is called Affirmed Armor, and it was established to remind people of a truth that they have forgotten about themselves. And so I'm wondering if you can share with me your go-to affirmation.
What is my go-to affirmation?
Or if you have multiple, you can share. Don't want to, box you in.
Ooh. Let me see.
Or a mantra?
I have quite a lot of them. I would say remember your why. I would say that's the number one out of all of them, because a lot of times I'll feel very like overwhelmed, or I'll feel like stretched too thin, or sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, or maybe I shouldn't even be here. Like, how did I end up here? Like, like especially more recently, it has turned into like, I earned these things. Like, I really put the work in. Like, this is like no fakey stuff. You know what I mean? But also when you get there, when God starts to unravel the stuff that you actually prayed for, and the doors actually start opening and you actually start walking into them, it's really it's low-key scary. You kind of be like, wait, now hold up.
High key, let's keep it real.
Hold up now. You're doing a little too much, But it's like, you can get very almost like stifled. It's like, what's happening here? But a lot of times I'll just kind of like center myself and just be like, remember my why. Remember my why. And I have a bunch of different whys, right? I have like my spiritual why. Like, you know, I always tell people, all my friends, I'm like, this is your birthright. Like, you know, the royal family, they was carrying her around and she was cooked. And I'm like, you think she's concerned? Like, she's not concerned. Like, this is their birthright. Like, people actually move the way they're supposed to move because they believe that they're supposed to be there, and they believe that these things are theirs. And they don't put a lot of emphasis on like what anybody has to say about anything, because they know that they know that they know that they're supposed to be here. So, you know, that's one why. Another why is, you know, I have to make, I know my mother's already proud because I'm lit and I've been lit, like out the womb, but it's something different that comes from like really doing the things that you say you're going to do, and really like wanting to push your people forward. And like I want my people, my friends, like people that I don't know, to just really know that you really got this. Like, none of the stuff belongs to us. Like, God is really the supplier of all things. And if you are in alignment, it's pretty seamless, you know?
Yeah.
Most of the challenges come from us not listening.
Why are you screaming? Jeez. You just got
It
so
literally
loud.
comes from us not listening to ourselves. And I think that voice in ourselves is like the God in us, like our own selves telling us like, girl, you know, that's not even your set. Like, why are you over here with this?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even like these people for real.
That's a fact.
You know, you don't even want to be here. Like, you can actually be yourself and actually, you know, attract the things that you really want and need from yourself. But, you know,
so
that's a whole different thing.
You said that you have multiple whys, and I think that for those who are um, starting out, or even in the period of like pivoting, um, have a hard time settling on their why. How were you able to settle on your whys, or how did you settle on your why, and then how did you accept that you had more than one? Because I think that could be a thing for people too, thinking that it's like, I need to have this one thing and that's it.
I think that for me, when I started to not, I feel like when I was in my 20s, I was so focused on like what the trajectory was, right? Because that was what was in all of the success magazines and all that stuff, like envision yourself here and envision yourself there, and like envision and envision. And now it's like manifest and manifest and manifest, right? And I have nothing against that, right? Because I do believe if you can put yourself into like this alternative, then you are practicing to almost feel comfortable in that new reality of yours. But I can say that when you really are enjoying the moments and enjoying the seconds, I see Elle in there, she used to say this all the time, enjoying the seconds can kind of give you like a microscopic view on what's happening right now. And then you can also see in your trajectory, like there's other things. Even when you look at yourself when you were in high school versus now, you're like, who would have knew? Who would have thought? And then when I speak to the elders, they're like, girl, you got so much more, you know, to do and to learn. And it's just like, as long as you live in, there's always a pivot. There's always something that's going to be different than what you thought it was. And it's all up to you on how you react. Like, you going to fold? You shook? If you scared, so you scared.
Say you scared, baby.
That's pretty much
But
what
don't
the
be
pivot
scared.
is.
Don't
If
be
you
scared.
scared, say you scared. Because like the way everything is operating, the world is still turning and the things are still changing. So you're gonna pivot whether you want to or not. It's just whether you're gonna get on or lay down. It's up to you.
That part. Okay, so as we come to the end of the conversation, I want to give you the opportunity to let us know how we can support you. What do you have coming up? Any projects that you have coming out that we can support you? I know that we can follow you here, but what else do you have that you're working on that we can support?
So I'm a bit of a ghost. I prefer to be behind the scenes. Like this whole me being in front of the camera is something new. But so a lot of my support can come from you watching the download the BETPlus app, please. No.
You heard it
Watch
here.
these shows. No.
BETPlus, BETPlus, download the
um,
app.
my own personal stuff though, it's to be continued. You know, when it's time to really bring that out, I'll let y'all know. Then y'all can pull
Okay.
up.
Listen, we trying to get the bag in all ways possible. So if it's currently just but downloading BET Plus and streaming the shows, that's what we're doing. That's
Stream
what
them
we're doing.
shows, y'all. Stream the shows. No.
Okay, so I am Ashley, the amateur expert, and I know just a little bit about a lot. And although you have dropped a million gems on us tonight, I want to know one last thing that you can tell me that I can say that Pietrina taught me, a Snapple fact or just a random tidbit of information that I can just put into my pocket.
Just get it how you live. Get it how you live.
Get it how you live. Yes,
That's it.
ma'am. I love it. Okay,
I'm a
well,
rapper too. You didn't know that. No, I'm just playing.
I love it. Well, we love multi hyphenates on the show, so we're gonna just add that to the bio at the end. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for dropping the gems. We appreciate you. We are going to download BET Plus. Yes, I'll get that free trial thing. I know Raj be trying to push that on us.
Look at Raj. Remember your wine and your bag. That's it, Raj. I'm about to see. That's why Raj is who she is.
That's it.
That girl good.
So
That girl good.
You gotta have a good one in your corner. So yes, thank you so much. If you missed the show or just tapping in, you can listen to the stream. It'll be up on YouTube later on today, and you can stream it on your favorite podcasting platforms. And we will see you next week. Thank you again, Pietrina, for joining us, and we will see you all soon. Be good to yourself and be good to others. Peace.
Bye.